Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my first ayahuasca experience and how life-shifting it was for me to go through this. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to the channel. I'm Shika, your conscious mentor, and today I'm going to be deep diving into my experience, doing a story time. I did another story time on my first shroom experience, and you guys really liked it, so I thought, let me talk about my ayahuasca experience. I actually just got back, so it's fresh in my mind, and I thought it would be perfect to journal to you guys my experience and share with you what to expect if you are considering doing any plant medicine retreat, specifically ayahuasca, and how shifting it was for me. So get some tea, get some snacks, and get comfortable. We're gonna sit and chat. This is gonna be part one of my story on day one of my ayahuasca experience. I did 2 nights, 3 days, and 2 ceremonies, and they were just amazing. I know it's going to be the beginning of so many more ceremonies that I'm going to be doing, so super excited. Before we get into the video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe, as well as put notification bells. I do videos every single week for you beautiful souls, 3 or more, and I also do new moon and full moon retreats. It's kind of funny because when I'm recording this, we're preparing to do a full moon meditation and energy healing, so definitely make sure that you subscribe and put notification bells so you don't miss out on these amazing opportunities to expand yourself. And today's subscriber of the day is Vanessa. Thank you so much for being part of this amazing family. I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you guys. Let's get into the video. So I do want to say that this has been a calling for me to do ayahuasca for many years. And I want to share with you guys, if there's ever been something such as plant medicine or any experience that you've always wanted to do and you feel a calling, most likely it's meant for you. And divine timing definitely showed that. Even though I was meant to do ayahuasca for many years, this year was the year that I was supposed to do it, which is beautiful. When I first started to do ayahuasca, I originally was supposed to go to Peru, and then with the world and everything that's going on right now, it had to be canceled. And then my next option was to do Rhythmia, but I have to put that on pause for now. So I ended up finding a good, amazing retreat that was here in Canada, and I'm super excited that I got to. When I did my retreat, it was definitely something that I wanted was to really go in with intention. So I spent the first few weeks just doing a dieta, which I'll actually post a video link here if you want to learn how to have an experience or how to prepare for an ayahuasca retreat. But this was probably one of the most important parts for me to have the experience that I did have, was honoring Mama Ayahuasca by really making sure that I was aware of what I was putting into my body and how I was preparing it mentally, emotionally, and physically. So that definitely showed. So first things first, I ended up driving to my retreat, and it was a long drive. And when I got there, there was just a sense that I was meant to be there. I walked in, and everyone that was in that space were there for an intention. And I want to share this just because if you are open to doing any plant medicine or retreat, I know a lot of people always get nervous doing an experience alone, but I will say that when I did that, it just made me really be able to go out of my shell and to connect with myself, and also to connect with other people that were there for the same reason, to connect with family and to expand and to release and to connect with the plant in a way that's going to show them things about themselves. So we all ended up arriving basically right before ceremony, our first night, and we all went down to the space where we had to choose a spot. It was so funny because the spot that I ended up choosing ended up being perfect, because the person I sat beside was a big part of my healing experience. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about doing these plant medicine retreats, is that we're all kind of experiencing the plant together, even though you're having your personal experience. And that, to me, was just another confirmation that we are all so connected. You and I are so connected. Every single one of us are so connected. So we sat down, and the shaman actually explained to us what to expect, and just really how to set intention. And then before we started the ritual, the shaman and his wife, who were both the ones that were guiding us, they ended up saging the space and clearing the space as everyone was sitting down and resting in our beds and our sleeping bags and just like getting comfortable. Now, when I started the session, I did have an intention already. My intention that I had was to release anger, to release any ancestral connections, to find out more about my purpose as a healer. As you guys know, I'm an energy healer, but I know that I'm feeling more and more called to tap into plant medicine. I just didn't know where to start. So I really wanted just to explain, or for Mama Ayahuasca to give me more of an intention of, I know where I am, I know I can bring a lot of energy, and I have with a lot of you guys, but I do know that this is just the start of something so much deeper. So what happened was I wrote down my intention, and it was really funny because I always tell people, when we go into any ceremony, when we go into anything in life, we think we're prepared, right? We have all the things, we're prepared and all that stuff. But what this ceremony has taught me is like, things will turn out the way they're supposed to be, and you just have to surrender. And I know I say this a lot, but this will make sense when I go and do my first cup of ayahuasca. So we're laying down there, and the first part of the ritual is we end up taking hape. Now, hape is a beautiful plant medicine from the Amazon, and it is used internally through the nose. What it does is the shaman will blow it through your nose, and it's like a stinging feeling all the way in the third eye to the back of your head. But what it allows you to do is to remove your ego, so you can be ready to set intention, ready to put out yourself into the ceremony, and to really focus on your experience. It also allows you to clear, relaxes you, and then just opens the pineal gland as well as, the third eye. One thing I will say is, now that I'm doing that, I am going to have a few plant medicines that I'm going to be using on a daily, and I'm really excited to share with you guys about those plant medicines so you can use them as well for your shadow work. So definitely make sure you subscribe and put notification bells, and let me know if you guys would be interested in that by putting a plant emoji down below. But that's definitely something that hape was so powerful. So he goes to each one and blesses the hape on each person, side and side over the head, and then blows through the nose. And ooh, it was stinging, but it felt so good. It felt so amazing. It felt so revived. I felt so relaxed, and I was like, oh my God, like, even though it was stinged, it brought me to center. And that's what hape does. It brings your chakras aligned as well. And a lot of people can use them before meditation as well. So we were bringing that intention to clear our mind before ceremony. Now he goes throughout each of the room and clears everyone while basically center ourselves, center our energy. And at this point, I'm just kind of sitting there thinking of my intentions that I shared with you guys, right? So I'm sitting there, and then the lights turn off because we're in the light off. Now, because the ayahuasca I did, the experience was the Colombian way, we didn't start our ceremony early. A lot of ceremonies will start around 9 or 10. We actually start at midnight, which I think is such a powerful time because, as you guys know, between midnight and 5 in the morning is one of the most active times spiritually and most connected times. So I actually enjoyed that experience personally. It allowed me to really enjoy and sit and connect with everyone who's in the ceremony before we got in. So then the lights turn off, and there's candle lights around a little bit, and it's pitch black. You can barely see everyone. Every person has a bucket because yes, ayahuasca does allow you to purge. So on the side, I did have my bucket with my bag, and there's an extra bag just in case. You basically purge out, and purging when you vomit, 'cause I don't like vomiting. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like it. But the thing is when you purge, it's like, it's different, and I'll explain this in a bit. So we're laying down, and he calls each person to come up to have their first cup of ayahuasca. Now they bless each cup with ayahuasca, and they do their blessings on them before, and then they share it with each person. And when you go up, you hold the cup and you set your intention, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about my intention, and I go up, and then all of a sudden, all my intentions go away. It's like I can't think. And at that point, my usual self, if I didn't have the hape, would have panicked and been like, I need to go back to my notes. I can't focus. And I know a lot of you also kind of dive into that masculine energy where we have to make sure we know everything that's happening. We need to know and plan everything. And that's kind of what I was going to. But then with Mama Ayahuasca, with the energy already working, before I even took the first cup of ayahuasca, I just said, surrender, Shiga, surrender, surrender, surrender. So I held the cup, And then I just said, Mama Ayahuasca, I surrender to you to heal me and to do whatever you need to show to me. I know that you will give me love, and I thank you for that. And then I took my first cup. Now, everyone always asks, what does it taste like? It is very earthy. For me personally, with the brew that I had, I enjoyed it. And that's one of the beautiful things about having a plant dieta before. It almost cleanses your palate to prepare you to be a full channel for Mama Ayahuasca, but also to prepare you for this taste and these taste buds. So yeah, anyways, I ended up having it. It was really strong. It was a full cup that I had, maybe about this long. And then I went back and sat down. And I laid down in my sleeping bag on my pillow, and I closed my eyes. And then I opened my eyes, and all of a sudden everything's very blurry. And he said that this would be one of the things, you start to have blurriness. And it was really interesting because I think a lot of people who share about their experience always say that they see visuals and they're beautiful and patterned. But I do want to share with you guys, if any of you have had the experience or you go into it, don't bring expectations, because Mama Ayahuasca may not show you visuals. And that's what happened to me. She didn't want to show me visuals. She showed me something different. So what happened was, when I was sitting there, all of a sudden I felt cramping and a lot of energy and a glowing energy in my stomach. And I knew that my sacred chakra was going to be the big promising part of my healing. And as I laid down there, I kept saying, I trust you, Mama Ayahuasca. I love you. I love you. I trust you. And I noticed that my body temperature started to reduce, and I started to feel colder, and I felt lighter. And it was just so interesting. I just felt this sense of like it was just an energy that came through. And then all of a sudden my stomach starts to almost like dry heaving. It almost felt like I was about to vomit, but I couldn't. It was like I couldn't vomit. It was because my throat chakra. And it's interesting because I did an energy healing prior to this experience about 3 weeks later, and I had to tune into my throat a little bit more. And I felt almost like my throat chakra was clogged, and I'm like, that's really weird. Why is it so clogged? So I just surrendered to it. And all of a sudden, as I close my eyes, I feel like I'm going deep under the earth, deep into the earth. And it was like this eerie feeling of I want to say death. It just felt dark and cold, but it felt like I was in a womb. And it was like I was in my own womb that I was feeling in my stomach. And it brought me back to my childhood, and it brought me back to my birthing time and when I was birthed, and just the stress that my parents had and how I was absorbing that energy. And it was like a quick little flash. That's the thing with ayahuasca. If we focus too hard on the visions, they tend to disappear, usually your first time especially. And then I felt this cramping, and I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't. I just it wouldn't come up. So I laid down there, and then I laid down, and then all of a sudden it showed me various lifetimes. So it showed me a lifetime when I had a miscarriage to 2 kids. It showed me a lifetime when I lost my child, and I had multiple that I kept losing. So a lot of the things came into childbirthing and energy, and just showing that the baby can actually hold so much energy, i.e. me can hold so much energy from our parents and our being, and it goes to generation and generation. So that's when I asked Mama Ayahuasca, okay, we have ancestral things that we need to heal today. Show me where it began. She showed me all the way from the cave woman times all the way to myself. So she showed my ancestors in the cave woman times all the way through BC, through the times of pirates and the women, the strong women that we had in our family line, and going through and fighting for what we needed to the time of slavery, which that was very powerful. And that was interesting. That was when I felt like I was held down, like I couldn't get up energetically. And the amount of pain that we went through, but how much hardship and hard work we had. And it showed me a clip of as a slave, and basically experiencing this sense of freedom and wanting belonging and pain. And at the time, there was a family that I was, or in this time of a slave war, And I ended up being really close with the family, but there was a forbidden love that happened with someone else in that family that was of a different race. And it was like this hidden love that we had in together. And then she ends up getting pregnant, and she had to lie about this baby, and this baby, like, they ended up having arguments and all this stuff, but she pushed through it. She kept pushing through. She kept pushing energetically through it. And then eventually she ended up telling her she didn't want this anymore. She didn't want any more pain anymore. And I told her, you don't have to pain anymore. And I sent her love energy. And all of a sudden she was healed. The pirate that was in our family was healed. The cave woman was healed. And then it brought me to the most intense experience. And that's the thing with ayahuasca, like, it brings you from like death to love to have so many emotions, and it brings you through. So then it brought me to a time where I was on fire. I was burned to the state. And I know in my past life that I was a healer, which in many lives, and wasn't able to because people wanted to shut me down. People wanted to close my throat. And all of a sudden my throat starts to close up. It feels like it's closing up, and I can't speak. And I remember feeling anger and sadness, and I was fighting it. I was fighting it in the ceremony, but then all of a sudden I remember I have to release. I have to surrender. So I surrendered to it. And then it showed me a whole bunch of amazing things I did. It showed me healing in the Amazon. It showed me helping a woman that was sick. It showed me going into villages and at night when like it was safest, and running through villages and bringing medicine to people who were dying and healing them. And it showed the power that we had deep inside my roots, and the way that I just knew how to connect with people and know what was wrong. And that's something that I knew for a long time. That's something that I saw that my grandmother had. She would always give us these amazing concoctions of teas, and I didn't know what was in it, but I knew that it would make me feel better, even though it didn't taste good. And that was something that she always used to give us. So then it brought me back to those memories of, you know, basically releasing that karmic pain of not being heard, not being silenced, being rejected by society because of the healing abilities, being rejected from people that were close to you. Just like the woman that was a slave that was rejected by the partner because he was ashamed of being with her, and it was not societal acceptance in order to do that. So all of these connections started to flow. And then out of all of that, it was like I saw a beautiful flower of love, and it disappeared. And that's at the point of the ceremony where I then felt like, oh, I'm not as connected or whatever, but there's still this energy happening in my womb, but then it started to feel a little bit better. So I sat there for about what felt like an hour. And the thing about ceremonies, you never know what time it is. It just feels like maybe it's an hour, but it's not. So I'm sitting there, and then I hear a voice say, it's time for your second cup. And it was like almost like a sign. So I got up there, I went to the shaman, and I said I'd like a second cup, and he gives me a second full cup. And that is what brought me to the next level, what I need to do. And that's one thing that you'll notice as I tell my story, my ayahuasca experience, it ripens with every single ceremony. That's why I would highly suggest, if you are doing a ceremony, do 2 at the least. And the reason why is the first night really gives you a taste of it. The second night is really where the work is done. And that's what I felt. It was like the first night was like what I'm here to do. The second night is what I did. You know what I mean? And everyone's night's different, but that's what I felt from a lot of people as well as myself. So I took the second cup, and then almost 10 minutes, I purged. I vomited, I purged, not a lot, but I purged. And it felt like it wasn't from my stomach. It felt like it was in the depths of my soul. It wasn't even me. Like I recognized the emotions, but it had nothing to do with this lifetime. It was all ancestral trauma, ancestral, just like shame and guilt and property. That was a huge part. That's always been part of my experience. Like, how am I feeling like I'm property? I'm not my own person. I am someone else's. Releasing that and taking my power. But my throat, all of a sudden, I felt this energy after that, where it felt like they were doing surgery on me. Mama ayahuasca. So they cut through, they opened it, and they tuned my throat in. And then I felt like, like there was so much pressure being released. And after I vomited, I was like, oh, I feel so much better. I can speak now. And then it showed me these beautiful experiences that showed me as a child, brought me back to me as a child. and my parents having an argument and the energy being absorbed by the family. And I sent that love energy and I said, I love you, Mom and Dad, I love you so much. And it's like, it healed, it helped, it allowed them to let go of that energy. Now, going back to the story of showing the history of each part, it continued that part. So it went back to the history, but this time it showed to something a little bit more in relation to this timeline. So it showed my great-grandmother, who is my guardian, and I love her so much. And it showed her showing me in the garden how to pick certain things and how to play with certain things. And she said, you're a natural, you're so good at this. And how I knew this at a young age, I was connected to plants. I was connected to this stuff. So much so that I remember going outside, picking out dandelions, which is really well known for hormones and healing the sacral space and plants, and giving it to my mom when she was sick, when I was young, and saying, Mom, this will make you feel better. I remember this memory so vividly, like it was yesterday. And that's what brought me to the intention of knowing. Part of my question that I didn't even ask her, she just knew that I was here for it, what I meant to do. Now, this was just a part of it. You know, obviously, one of the things I always tell people when we go into plant medicine ceremony, it tells us a part of the journey, and it only shows us what's within us. It's nothing outside of us. It's always in us. Like when I do healing with you guys, when I do these healing energies, these new moon, full moons, or even when I do my one-on-one energy healings, it's always what's within us. It's never what's outside of you. It's just showing you what was there from a different perspective and allowing you to honor those emotions in a deeper way. And that's what happened. And then it brought me to another experience. It brought me to birthing, and it felt almost like I was birthing some child. Now, if you guys don't know, me accepting and wanting children has been something that I've never really felt called to or didn't want at all, because I knew there was so much trauma in my family with my endometriosis and energy and all that stuff. But for some reason, universe wanted me to experience this. So I had an experience, but it was like birthing energy. So what happened is they did surgery on my sacral. I went into my sacral and dived into my body, into my DNA, my bloodstream, and I saw all these black spots in my stomach of ancestral experiences, and it went into each one for miscarriages, one for trauma that I went through in this lifetime, one for my mom's trauma, one for my dad's trauma. And then Mama Ayahuasca put her energy on it, and it became a flower, it became a garden. And then my sacral chakra became this beautiful, beautiful garden of beauty, and she was clearing it. And then all of a sudden, the pain that was in my sacral chakra went away. It's like it all subsided, it went away. And all I felt was this voice saying that, Shika, you did the inner work, and by doing the inner work, you were able to not only heal yourself, but you were able to heal generations from the beginning. And that has been a story, and that has been my mission as a healer. It's to heal, it's to help from my experience, and as many other healers and other people, and you guys as well. It's meant to share and to grow and to do the shadow work for yourself first. And by doing that, you decide to do that for the rest of your family line. Now, at this point of the experience, I'm just feeling so, I just had surgery on my throat chakra, my stomach chakra. I just went through removing so many ancestral pains and seeing more than 20 lives of women that experience, and how I'm supposed to remove that. And I am removing that by this experience through my own release and surrender. And then all I felt was the cradling of Mama Ayahuasca saying, I am so proud of you. You did it. You listened to me. And I was having dreams of her before the ceremony. You have to come visit. I have something to share with you. And then I saw my great-grandmother, along with all the women of our family line, like a crowd of energy around me saying, we are doing this together. You are never alone. You were never alone. And I want you to remember this. We are healing together. We are expanding together. We are doing all the deep work that we need to do together. And I want you to remember this, Shika. And I felt this, and I cried and I cried and I released and I cried and I cried. I cried so much, I cried myself to sleep. And the last thing that I remember hearing was, I love you so much, Shika. I love all parts of you, and I love all that made you. And that was a big part of me, because I did have some resentfulness between my family and certain people, because I blamed them for their experience. But I had to understand that that energy was manifested in me. That was a perspective, that was a analogy of a reality. You know, when we go through these bad experiences, we tend to hold it in and blame. But it's not about blaming, it's about healing, it's about understanding, it's about detaching ourselves from that so we don't hold it into energy in our body, and it creates physical pain, emotional pain, and so much more. And that's what Mama Ayahuasca reminded me during that ceremony. And I went to sleep. I don't even know what time it was. They always say don't know the time, don't have. I turned off my phone actually for the whole weekend because I just wanted to really, really disconnect. And then I woke up and I just felt lighter. I felt so much lighter. I felt love, I felt connection, I felt so much deeper. This is part 1 of my ayahuasca experience. I hope you guys enjoyed my first day. Let me know what hit home for you. I know when I tell my stories, you guys are always like, oh my God, Shika, let me know what did you connect with through my story, because there is a connection with every single one of you, and there's a reason why you watch this video as well. I'm gonna do a part 2 of the downloads I got on my second day, doing a ayahuasca ceremony, a morning shot. Yes, we did a morning shot in the morning, as well as other plant medicines that we took during the retreat that really helped me with my second experience, which was profound on my second night. My second night was the most powerful things that I've ever seen in my life. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe, as well as put notification bell so you do not miss those videos. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this story. I'm really blessed to share this space with you guys and to share my experience, so then you can also hopefully have that experience as well, because I truly, there's so much knowledge in plants, and I am so grateful to have that experience with her. So I love you guys so, so much. I will see you guys in the next one. It will be posted on Monday next week. And I love you so much. Bye.